Om Sahana Bhavatu Sahana Bhunaktu Sahaviryam Karavavai Tejasvinavadi Tamastu Ma Vishavahari. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. And we'll attempt to share the screen. Welcome to our October 8th Zoom Satsang. Our first topic is continuing, climbing the ladder of consciousness. And we are up to part 8. Very interesting topic, flooding the human aura with colors, drawn from Merging with Shiva, chapter 34, Colors Magic. The human aura is the luminous, colorful field of subtle energy radiating within and around the human body, extending out from 3 to 7 feet. The colors of the aura change constantly according to the ebb and flow of one's state of consciousness, thoughts, moods, and emotions. Higher benevolent feelings create bright pastels. Base negative feelings are darker in color. Thus auras can be seen and read by clairvoyance. The general nature of auras varies according to individual unfoldment. Great mystics have very bright auras, while instinctive persons are shrouded in dull shades. The aura consists of 2 aspects, the outer aura and the inner aura. And that's the question for you. What is the difference between the outer aura and the inner aura? See who remembers that one. The outer aura extends beyond the physical body and changes continuously, reflecting the individual's moment-to-moment panorama of thought and emotion. The inner aura is much more constant, as it reflects deep-seated subconscious patterns, desires, repressions, and tendencies held in the subconscious mind. Those colors which are regularly and habitually reflected in the outer aura are eventually recorded more permanently in the inner aura. Colors of the inner aura permeate out through the outer aura and either shade with sadness or brighten with happiness the normal experiences of daily life. The inner aura hovers deep within the astral body in the chest and torso and looks much like certain modern art paintings, with heavy strokes of solid colors here and there. In Sanskrit, the aura is called Prabha Mandala, luminous enclosure, or Deepta Chakra, nimbus, circle of light. With the knowledge of the effect that we have on others through our mental and emotional astral atmosphere, we gain a wonderful siddhi, the ability to develop and improve our own aura, and thus our daily mental and emotional state, and at the same time the power to improve the aura and mood of those around us. Your sadhana now is to take pains to develop your aura in the direction of more desirable colors and to gradually eliminate undesirable ones. Our question: does the state of mind create the aura's color? The aura's color create the state of mind? Or both? It works in 2 ways. 1, by visualizing one or more bright positive colors, flooding your aura, immediately your awareness leaves the undesirable area of the mind, such as depression, anger, or jealousy, and you experience more positive feelings. 2. By consciously moving your awareness into more positive areas through the repetition of positive affirmations or mantras, while at the same time working to bring through the corresponding feelings such as joy, happiness, or contentment. In this way, the aura is infused with bright, positive colors. So both is the correct answer. Consciously working to improve one's own aura becomes doubly important when we remember that its colors, being magnetic, react back on our mind and emotions, thus intensifying and neutralizing the original mental states which called them forth. We have all found this to be true through the lesson that any negative mood or mental state seems to hold one in its clutches of its own accord, and it takes willpower to pull oneself into a more positive frame of mind. But as you may have found in your previous experience with sadhana, consistent effort does yield results. You can steady and strengthen your mental and emotional faculty, just as you can strengthen your physical muscles and steady your nerves through exercise and practice. So that's the goal. We can strengthen our mental and emotional faculty. By consistently visualizing desirable colors in your aura, especially during moments of trial and emotional turmoil, you can become quite facile and skillful in controlling your individual awareness. Brightening up your aura in this way neutralizes the remnants of negative emotion and charges the aura with actinic energy. Automatically, feelings of depression and despair give way to courage and confidence. Feelings of jealousy and resentment give way to confidence and compassion. You as a devotee have often gone to the temple with your problems and placed them at the feet of the deity. In the unseen world of the Devaloka, what actually happens is that the deity and his many devas work with your problems by working with your aura, most especially the inner aura, by disintegrating or clearing up any congestion they find. They lighten the darker colors that were created by traveling through troubled states of mind, infusing them with rays of white and violet light from the inner sanctum. We rarely see this happening, but we can certainly feel it, and we depart the temple feeling relieved and freed from congestion and worry. Often we can hardly remember what we were upset about. You can also flood your aura with rays of white and violet light, just like the deities and devas do. If you are in a bad mood because of having just become angry with someone because you were jealous of him, there is a remedy that you can perform for yourself. Your aura is now brownish with murky, dirty green, possibly accented with black and red sparks. To counteract this heaviness, just add white. Visualize white light flooding out from the center of your spine into and through your aura. Visualize violet rays flooding into your new white aura, invigorating and cutting through the darkness. When you go as pure awareness right into the center of your spine and flood white mind substance out into your aura, the white mixes with the black and gray appears in your aura. Immediately you experience fear. But this emotion soon passes as more white enters the aura. The gray soon disappears. As still more white enters the aura, the flaming red of anger turns to the pink shades of tolerance and compassion. The dark browns and the murky dark green of jealousy turn into the emerald green of confidence and humility. A feeling of peace and contentment comes as the new colors react back on the emotions. All this and more happens to you from within you because you deliberately moved your individual awareness deep into the center of your spine and flooded white rays of light out through your aura. It takes but a little effort on your part, a little concentration, persistence, and faith in your ability to change your own mood by a positive effort of will. You too can do as the devas do. Try it today. Overcoming jealousy. Once you've made up your mind to deal with jealousy and lighten the ugly dark brown, green in your inner and outer aura, make a clear mental picture of light green and yellow and flood those colors into your aura by just a slight effort of your will. You do not have to exert much effort to do this. You need only relax and hold a clear mental picture of the desired colors. Visualize the two colors and project them out from the center of your spine into your inner and outer aura. This is all that you have to do. As soon as the light green and yellow flood your aura, you will feel an immediate change in your mental and emotional states. The antagonistic feelings of jealousy will begin to fade. The opposite mental quality of understanding and the emotional quality of self-assurance will automatically be strengthened as a result. Overcoming anger. If you are overtaken by anger and resentment, blackish red with streaks of yellow, visualize light blue entering your aura and surrounding your body. The light blue will neutralize the fiery reds, and before you know it, the anger and resentment are gone. Visualizing the light blue color actually drew your awareness out of certain areas of the instinctive mind into intuitive states. Instead of anger, you experience compassion and understanding. Overcoming fear. Flood the color white into the gray that is fear. Overcoming mental laziness. All of us at one time or another experience mental laziness. What is the remedy? Simply flood your aura with yellow by visualizing yellow light all around you, and soon you will be drawn into the thinking area of the mind and be able to progressively pursue your studies. Intellectual aggressiveness. Visualizing orange strengthens your intellectual aggressiveness because red is added to the yellow. So if you want to become intellectually aggressive, a quality needed to succeed in the business world, after you have succeeded in flooding your aura with yellow light, then flood your aura with orange light and experience the change for yourself. Physical vitality. You have no doubt experienced difficulty in getting up in the morning. What is the remedy for this? What color would you flood your aura with to invigorate your physical body in the early morning? Flood your aura with red, of course. A nice bright red. It doesn't take much effort to visualize the color red. You will know that you have succeeded when all of a sudden your physical vitality awakens and you feel invigorated and ready to jump up for a wonderful day. Looking again at receiving blessings in the temple. You as a devotee have often gone to the temple. Okay, this is a repeat slide. Okay, I guess we're supposed to read it again. Look again at receiving blessings in the temple. You as a devotee have often gone to the temple with your problems, place them at the feet of the deity. In the unseen world of the Deva Loka, what actually happens is that the deity and his many devas work with your problems by working with your aura, most especially the inner aura, by disintegrating or clearing up any congestion they find. They lighten the darker colors that were created by traveling through troubled states of mind, infusing them with rays of white and violet light from the inner sanctum. So, white and violet. We rarely see this happening, but we can certainly feel it, and we depart the temple feeling relieved and freed from congestion and worry. Often we can hardly remember what we are upset about. So, exercise. Sit after puja for 5 minutes with the murti in view. Absorb the blessings, energies emanating from the murti for 5 minutes. Be like a sponge soaking up water. In other words, a sponge needs to be empty. So empty the mind of other concerns and focus on this one task. And then you can actually absorb more from the deity. And the second part of this, climbing the ladder of consciousness, Purifying the Mind. Comes from the publisher's desk, The Aim of Hindu Practices, 2015. This publisher's desk was written to provide a general answer to why do Hindus do specific practices such as perform or attend puja. The generalized answer is to purify the mind, thereby allowing us to eventually experience our divine essence. So that is the reason we do lots of Hindu practices, is because they're purifying, purifying the mind, not the body. Often in explaining Hindu practices, the actions themselves are described with nothing further added to explain the purpose of the actions. Hindus are to refrain from adharmic actions such as harming others, stealing and lying. Seva, volunteering to help at the temple with the supporting tasks, as well as elsewhere in the community, should be done regularly. We should contact or attend daily puja in the home and weekly puja at the temple. The 8 limbs of Raja Yoga is also a daily practice. Many Hindus follow. The answer in Western religions would be to go to heaven. However, that is not why they are important in Eastern religions such as Hinduism. To begin answering the question, let's look at a core Hindu belief. Gurudeva often talked about man's divinity. He stated, "Deep inside we are perfect this very moment, and we have only to discover and live up to this perfection to be whole." So we're perfect inside, deep inside. We have taken birth in a physical body to grow and evolve into our divine potential. We are inwardly already one with God, at this point deep inside us. Our religion contains the knowledge of how to realize this oneness and not create unwanted experiences along the way. Then we get my analogy. Seen it a lot. Imagine a pond of water with gold nuggets at the bottom. If either the surface of the pond has ripples due to a wind, or the pond itself is cloudy due to the presence of mud, the gold nuggets at the bottom of the pond cannot be seen from above. The ripples on the surface represent an active intellectual mind. The cloudy water represents the impurities in the mind, and the gold nuggets at the bottom represent our soul nature. The idea is that to experience our soul nature and its oneness with God, we need to have a quiet intellect and a pure mind. We also need to be a sensitive and humble observer. So 3 qualities are needed. This analogy gives us the key to answering our question. What is the reason these Hindu practices are important? It is because of their impact on the mind. Specifically, it is how they purify the mind, quiet the intellect, and spiritualize the ego, thereby allowing us to eventually experience our divine essence. The latter 2 ideas have been written about in other publishers' desks. Letting go past and future addresses quieting the mind by dividing our thoughts into 5 categories and applying a different technique to each. Basis of worship, fear or love, addresses becoming a sensitive and humble observer through spiritualizing the ego and moving ever closer to God through the traditional practices of bhakti yoga. This publisher's desk focuses on the remaining practice of purifying the mind. An entry in the Encyclopedia of Hinduism, India Heritage Research Foundation's version, states that Shuddhi means purification, Chitta is mind, purification of the mind, Chitta Shuddhi, may be called the essence of all spiritual endeavors. Right, so they definitely looking at it the same way we were. Essence of all spiritual endeavors. And a good question, why does the mind need to be purified in the first place? It is because our dharmic thoughts, speech, and actions done in this and even past lives create impurities, some scars, impressions of past deeds in the subconscious mind, some of which have yet to be removed. Encyclopedia of Hinduism develops this idea further in saying, mental impurities are the root cause of pleasure and pain, and therefore they perpetuate the cycle of birth and death. Breaking this cycle and thus putting an end to sorrow, dukkha, is the goal of Hindu religion and philosophy. Surest means of achieving this goal is chitta shuddhi. They're really supportive of chitta shuddhi, aren't they? First practice mentioned at the beginning of this article, meaning climbing the ladder of consciousness. Refraining from adharmic acts such as harming others, stealing, and lying. Such restraint assures that we are not adding additional impurity to what is already there. Second practice, mentioned of seva, karma yoga is an effective way to purify the mind, reduce impurities that are already in the mind. Adi Shankara has a verse on this in Viveka Chudamani. Work is for the purification of the mind, not for the perception of reality. The realization of truth is brought about by discrimination, not in the least by 10 millions of acts. Gurudeva elaborated on how work is purifying and encouraged his devotees to perform 4 hours of seva a week to help others. Lift their burdens just a little bit, and unknowingly perhaps you may lift something that is burdening your mind. You erase and wipe clean the mirror of your own mind through helping another. We call this karma yoga, the deep practice of unwinding through service the selfish, self-centered, egotistical vasanas of the lower nature that have been generated for many, many lives and which bind the soul in darkness. And let's see if you remember what creates a vasana. A vasana is created when two samskars blend together. It is stronger than either of the two samskars that blend it. Swami Harshananda, in his A Concise Encyclopedia of Hinduism, gives this explanation of vasana. Vasana, a strong impression in the mind. It is so strong that when it arises in the mind, a person is forced to act without thinking of the consequences. Interesting statement. Vasanas can be negative or positive. It is, of course, the negative ones we want to remove through seva. Attending pujas at a temple and in the home shrine is the third practice mentioned, and also is an effective way to purify the mind. This involves an aspect of puja and homa that is not often presented, which is how it relates to the flow of prana. It's a very important insight from Gurudeva. You don't hear this, well, you don't find this in books. I'm sure knowledgeable priests explain it. Except for the times arati is performed, puja is a process of giving prana to the deity. This is done through the priest presenting the devotees offerings of cut fruit, cooked food, water, fragrant flowers, and milk. Then during the arati, the deity and his helpers or devas reflect back this prana into the aura of each devotee, purifying it of subconscious congestions. The devotee so blessed leaves the temple feeling uplifted and relieved of mental conditions he had been burdened by. Narendra Puri Mahaswamiji of Kailas Ashram in Bengaluru visited us a few years ago. His three priests performed an elaborate homa in Kadamba temple with extra offerings of grains and woods. Afterwards, he explained that Agni takes the offerings to the deity in a purified form for the deity to use in blessing those present. The purification can also happen at deeper levels. Gurudev explains, darshan coming from the great temples of our gods can change the patterns of karma dating back many past lives, clearing and clarifying conditions that were created hundreds of years ago and are but seeds now, waiting to manifest in the future. Through the grace of the gods, those seeds can be removed if the manifestation in the future would not enhance the evolution of the soul. The eight-limbed Raja Yoga is expounded by Patanjali as a way of purifying the mind. He mentions the purifying aspect of this fourth practice in his Yoga Sutras. When the limbs of yoga are practiced, impurities dwindle, and radiant knowledge manifests itself, leading to discrimination as to their difference. In particular, he relates the practice of tapas, austerity, which is part of the second limb of niyama, to the dwindling of impurity. And we have a great verse from Tirukkural, Nature of Austerity. As the intense fire of the furnace refines gold to brilliance, so does the burning suffering of austerity purify the soul to resplendence. This verse may bring to mind images of yogis in the Himalayas living in a cave, or bathing in the winter in the freezing waters of the Ganges. Though tapas does include these intense practices, it also includes easier ones that can be done by all. Simple form of tapas is sacrifice. Sacrifice is the act of giving up to a greater power a cherished possession, be it money, time, intelligence, or a physical object to manifest a greater good. Sacrifice is similar to charity but has the aspect of doing without, some form of self-denial. An example is fasting for a day and giving the money saved to a Hindu institution. Second example is, instead of going on a fairly expensive vacation, going instead on a budget vacation and making a donation of the difference to a Hindu institution. Performing penance to atone for misdeeds is another form of tapas. This is done through such acts as performing 108 prostrations before the deity in the temple, walking prostrations around the temple, or up a sacred path, and kavadi, a penance offered to Lord Murugan. And a beautiful quote from Gurudeva on austerity. Austerity is the powerful bath of fire and bright rays of showering light that washes the soul clean of the dross of its many past lives, and of the current life, which have held it in bondage of ignorance, misgiving, unforgivingness, and the self-perpetuating ignorance of the truths of the Sanatana Dharma. Very nice. In conclusion, the reason that Hindu practices are important is because of their impact on our mind. It is through purifying the mind, quieting the intellect, and spiritualizing the ego that we are able to grow and evolve and eventually experience our soul nature and its oneness with God, symbolized by the gold nugget. Yogaswami quote here, when worldly attachment and purity of the mind disappear, then there is Atma Darshan. And we are ready for the second topic. Finishing up positive psychology, I believe. So we know they did research, came up with the 6 universal virtues and 24 character strengths. Last week we completed the study of the 3 character strengths and the virtue of humanity, which are love, kindness, social intelligence. Here is a summary of what was said. The degree to which you value close relationships with people and contribute to that closeness and warmth in genuine way. Read that one again. The degree to which you value close relationships with people and contribute to that closeness in a warm and genuine way. Character strength of love. Being generous with others, giving your time, money, and talent to support those who are in need. Kindness. Being aware of the motives and feelings of themselves and others, and how to fit into different social situations. Social intelligence. And to wrap up this series on positive psychology's character strengths, we're going to review them all. We started with the virtue of wisdom, which has 5 character strengths. Creativity, curiosity, judgment, love of learning, and perspective. Then we did virtue of courage, which has 4 character strengths. Bravery, persistence, honesty, and zest. Virtue of justice has 3 character strengths. Teamwork, fairness, and leadership. Virtue of moderation has 4 character strengths. Forgiveness, modesty, prudence, and self-control. Virtue of transcendence has 5 character strengths. Appreciation of beauty, gratitude, hope, humor, and spirituality. And the virtue of humanity has 3 character strengths. Love, kindness, and social intelligence. And that concludes our delving into positive psychology's character strengths. Hope you learned a few new things that are in addition to how we analyzed it in our book on character qualities. As I mentioned, we studied this material before we wrote our book on character qualities and found a few of their character strengths that we hadn't included, so we added a few character qualities and modified a few based upon their insights. We were very strong in self-control and humility and things like that, and they were adding things like humor, zest. And a third topic, an in my opinion piece from Hinduism Today. So we bring these topics in to show how Hinduism has affected the life of people in a very positive way. Generally it's younger people, but not always. Why I Hold to Hindu Values by Shreya Mahasenan. Hinduism Today, April 2023. Hinduism is known by many as the world's oldest religion, with a history that spans several millennia. The world in which central Hindu teachings and ideas first began taking form was a world far different from the one I am growing up in now, as a young 21-year-old university student born in the United States and living in Montreal. And yet, true to its nature as Sanatana Dharma, eternal, Hinduism's themes, teachings, and values continue to play an ever-important foundational role in my life, mentoring me through the many complex challenges and intricacies of modern times. Many of the themes that distinguished a dharmic life thousands of years ago remain just as relevant in the 21st century. And it is for this reason that Hinduism has stood the test of time and continues to inform, influence, and inspire. A recurrent theme in Hinduism is the significance of pursuing truth and knowledge. So that's a key point there. Pursuing truth and knowledge. That pursuit refers in part to the ultimate truth, the realization of Brahman, the absolute reality of the universe. But to be a Hindu is also to develop a fundamental respect for the exchange of knowledge of all types, whether that be Vedic knowledge, scientific knowledge, or knowledge of mastery of the arts. My Hindu upbringing frequently instilled that respect in me. During Saraswati Puja, I gathered all my textbooks and learning materials and prayed for another year of education and enrichment. I learned to respect my gurus as the imparters of knowledge, finding joy in thanking those gurus with gifts of Guru Dakshina. I also learned to respect the role of the student who partakes in that knowledge. There was always a connection between my overall spiritual journey and the countless types of learning that I could engage in. As I've grown up, I've only grown to appreciate the importance of pursuing knowledge and truth more. I've also come to realize that in the modern world, this value bears a special weight. Thanks to the widespread use of technology around us, we are surrounded by abundant information readily available at our fingertips. However, as the amount of information instantly accessible to us has propagated, misinformation and alternative facts have begun to propagate just as quickly. It has become increasingly easy and even tempting to prioritize the ease and speed with which you can obtain information over the quality and truth of said information. In such a world, it is even more imperative to take pride in learning and obtaining knowledge, and to make it the goal of our learning to achieve a higher transcendent truth. A follower of Sanatana Dharma regards vidya, correct, irrefutable knowledge, as one of the most essential goals of their life. In the chaos of 21st century life, that means maintaining that commitment no matter the noise and distractions around us. Somewhat relatedly, another key Hindu value is to call upon in the modern world. Somewhat relatedly, another key Hindu value to call upon in the modern world is the value of embracing multiple paths and ideas. We live in a world that grows seemingly more and more polarized with every passing day. Such times I especially appreciate that Hinduism stands quite unique in its tolerance and acceptance of wide-ranging beliefs and ideas. To be a Hindu is to explore one's own Dharma and how to think, act, and grow in accordance with that Dharma. It is not to accept what we are told at face value, or to believe that there is only one way or path towards finding fulfillment and peace. In the immortal words of Swami Vivekananda, I am a Hindu. I am proud to belong to a religion which has taught the world both tolerance and universal acceptance. We believe not only in universal toleration, but we accept all religions as true. Even with the umbrella of Hinduism, there is a beautiful, diverse, wide-ranging spectrum of beliefs, philosophies, and schools of thought with an incredible potential for dialogue and discussion about almost any aspect of life. Both on a community and individual level, this openness is one of the liberating ways in which we are encouraged to embark on the journey to explore and develop our spirituality. In today's world, this aspect of Hinduism is one in which I find a great deal of refuge and solace. All around us we hear of conflicts and issues arising from a lack of respect for different ideas and an unwillingness to engage in discussion. Often, when we observe so much vitriol and hate, it can be difficult to resist the urge to join in on the mudslinging and fight fire with fire. To do so would be contrary to Hindu values, and I habitually find myself meditating on those values to remind myself that no matter what happens around me, my duty is to prioritize acceptance and open-mindedness. It is ever important in the world around us today that we remain mindful of the principles that should unite us all, such as compassion and global kinship, regardless of our faith, backgrounds, or unique identities. Those of us who treasure this belief as fundamental to our Hindu identities, therefore, have a key role to play in contemporary life as advocates of respect, discourse, and goodwill. Far from feeling that a philosophy as ancient as Sanatana Dharma bears little significance in 2022, I feel that my Hindu values have given me major guiding principles with which I can navigate a complicated world. That's a great statement. Huh? Helps her navigate a complicated world. As a member of Generation Z, I find myself at the crossroads of multiple discussions on key contemporary issues, global movements, and questions of morality and duty. I know that I am not at all alone in this regard. In 2020, I co-founded the McGill Dharma Society, the official campus representation for students of Dharmic faiths. I often engage in conversations with my peers in numerous Dharmic faith communities in Canada and beyond. Our discussions form bridges of connection between people of different faiths, nationalities, races, languages, and identities, and those bridges in turn highlight the united and harmonious nature of the universe. In a world that can times feel turbulent, uneasy, and tense, Hindu values such as truth, knowledge, open-mindedness, and environmental awareness are vital to regaining the sense of peace and fulfillment, attainable through a life lived in pursuit of Dharma. Thank you, Shreya. Very nice. And that concludes our presentation.